Hello everyone, welcome back for day 2 on our lesson on abundant faith. Yesterday we left off with hopefully taking a rest, whether it was the beginning of your day, the end of your day, when you watched the video yesterday. Hopefully you got a chance to take it, maybe find a place in prayer and get that rest through Jesus Christ. So we're going to be continuing where we left off there. Jesus and the disciples on the boat in the Sea of Galilee. Jesus is asleep. The disciples are enjoying the beautiful weather, just enjoying a chance to take a break. And here they are out in the Sea of Galilee. So there are some things that the disciples knew going into this situation and going into the Sea of Galilee. The first was that the Sea of Galilee is subject to sudden storms. The way that it's set up, that the lake is kind of in a basin almost, and so the heights are on one side and there's some hills on the other side, and the way that the wind comes in, it can create some very strong winds and some very sudden storms in the lake. So I'm sure the disciples, some of them even being fishermen, are probably quite aware that there could be sudden storms. So they knew going in there could be a sudden storm at any time on the Sea of Galilee. The disciples knew that the potential for storms existed. So we just talked about they knew that there was a possibility for sudden storms. They knew that potential storm could happen that day. Maybe they looked up and it was all clear skies when they got in the boat. Or maybe they looked up and it was cloudy and they said, it could not be that bad. We don't know. But obviously they didn't have our technology. I wouldn't say our great technology necessarily. But what the weather was going to be that day. They didn't know, hey, radar shows another, 2 miles out, there's a really heavy storm brewing, the winds are going to pick up, and this is going to be the situation. So they didn't know that, but they knew that there was potential for storm on the lake. So without the benefit of our weather radar and all those fancy things, they couldn't predict it. So this day, the worst case scenario happened. They were out on the sea, and suddenly a storm hit. Suddenly, they were, trapped in this situation where waves were crashing over the boat, crazy winds, probably some rain, and all of these things, like we said, maybe a few of them were fishermen, so they were probably used to it, but maybe the other guys weren't so used to this. I don't know if you've ever been in a boat where it suddenly got windy, and it started to get a little bit crazy. I remember in one situation pretty shortly after we moved here, we all went out on a men's fishing trip, and we had 2 boats, and something or other happened, and I think one of the boats maybe conked out for a little bit or whatever the situation was, but it started to get windy and the waves were kind of picking up, and I'm not really a huge boat person, and I started to get a little bit nervous. It wasn't very comforting to me. Brother Dion is the pro. He was pretty much chill, and he knew probably everything that was going to happen because he's out there and he knows that kind of stuff. But that's not me, and I was honestly really uncomfortable until things mellowed out and we were fine again. So picture whatever side you fall on, disciples that were fishermen, the disciples that weren't fishermen, whatever the case is, it's a scary situation. So they're in the middle of this, and all this is happening. The Greek word for the tempest is actually seismos, so you can get the idea from that it's kind of like an earthquake. That's what it was describing. It was almost like an earthquake in the Sea of Galilee. And both Mark and Luke actually record that the boat was pretty much swamped. So not a good situation. Pretty much bad day from that point on. Seemed like. But the good news for that day was that Jesus was in the boat with them. The bad news was he was asleep. He was asleep. Jesus was asleep on the boat. The disciples had enough presence of mind to know that, a heroic human effort would not save them. They could all try to bail their best ability, with their best ability to bail the water out of the boat, but it was just not going to be enough. They had to do something. They had to go wake up Jesus. Their frantic words were almost kind of comical, probably, if you weren't there or you haven't been in a similar situation maybe. They went to him as, "Lord, save us, we're going to drown. We're going to drown." Maybe he was soaking wet. Probably he had some water on him from the waves crashing in the boat where he was sleeping. But he was not drowning in fear. He was perfectly fine, perfectly asleep. His response to the disciples was a word of reproof. Why are you so afraid? He said. Do you have so little faith? Matthew 8:26. This was where it was recorded that Jesus said this. Why are you so afraid? You have so little faith. Can you imagine being in this boat, panicking? Everything is going down the tubes really fast. You go wake up Jesus, hoping to save you. He wakes up, and the first thing he says to you is, why are you so afraid? Why do you have so little faith? I don't know, Jesus, the boat's half full of water right now. I think, we would say, I think they have a right to be afraid, right? But Jesus was saying, how long have you been here with me? You not know who I am and what I am capable of. How could Jesus be so insensitive, it seemed? Did he not understand how it felt to be a human in the middle of kind of almost a hurricane? But Jesus stood and he rebuked the roaring winds and the raging sea. He stood up, he said, peace, be still. And everything just mellowed out. I can't imagine being in that situation and just seeing this happen. These disciples had been with Jesus. They'd seen some of the miracles that he had done and all the things. But this was like next level. The wind and the sea obey him. And we even see as you read through the Gospels that this was their response. Who is this that the wind and the sea even listen to him? I mean, imagine being in a boat, this crazy situation, and someone stands up and says, okay, that's enough. And the wind just stops. The rain just stops. The waves just mellow out, and it's like a sea of glass. We would be pretty blown away. And the disciples were blown away as well. Where there had been a great storm, there was now a great calm. As quickly as the storm had approached, it was gone probably even faster because of Jesus' words. Matthew 8:27, the disciples discovered a dynamic dimension to the ministry of their master. They said, what manner of man is this who controls the power of nature? Even the winds and the sea obey him. Jesus revealed himself to his faithless disciples as the God of the storm. The disciples' fear was transformed into profound faith in his person, in his word. So today, no matter what, maybe you're going through something, maybe you're just in the middle of a long trial, maybe you're watching this at the end of your day and it wasn't really a great day at work, or whatever the situation may be, just know that Jesus is Lord of the storm. No matter what's going on around you, he has the power to stand up and say, that's enough. My child needs a break. He has the power to stand up and say, that's enough. But he also has the power to lay there and sleep and to get to that place where you wake him up. So I hope that we go forward in this day, that you will spend some time in prayer and just ask him to show you a little bit more of who he is. He will show you his power at a greater level today. So God bless you. I hope you have a great day, the rest of your evening, and we'll see you back again tomorrow.